speaker is Chris Robinson, a personal friend of mine. We're actually talking to him about being part of the leadership training going forward in Sherlock Nation. He is an incredible leader in his own right. He's a up-and-coming superstar in his industry, and we are just blessed to have him speak to us today. What he's going to share with you is very, very important, because I know from past experience at an event like this, you're at an excitement level, you're high, you're excited about where we're going as a company. But how many of you know 2 to 3 days from now, that feeling's no longer there, and you're right back where you were a week ago? Well, he's going to teach you to trust the process. That's the name of his talk today, Trust the Process. And it's going to be a powerful, impactful talk. So let's give it up for Mr. Chris Robinson, certified John Maxwell trainer and speaker.
Oh, wow. You know, I'm so delighted to be here with you guys today. This is my, I guess, third time within about a year of speaking with you guys. So they keep inviting me back, so I guess you like me all right. So I'm glad to be here with you guys today. Well, today, I want you guys to do 3 things. And I was sitting back there the entire time going, can I sit there and really stand there and hold this thing? I can't do this. So you guys mind if I move this out the way? All right. Well, you know, the entire time I'm back there going, man, I got to get up there. I got to move this thing around, because I know you guys have been sitting here all morning long. But anytime that I come to speak at a place, I want you to be able to walk away with something that you can apply and utilize today. You know, I never want to get up and speak just for the sake of speaking. So when I come, I want to give you practical, applicable tools that you can utilize today. So when you walk out of here, you have a plan of attack of when life happens when you walk outside the door. So today I want you guys to do 3 things. Everybody say 3. I want you guys to do 3 things. The first thing that I want you to do, that I will always encourage you to do whenever I speak, is I want you looking for the one idea that you could utilize today. Because what I know is one idea executed well could change your life forever. Now, chances are you may have heard something that I'm going to say today, but what I want to encourage you is, if you hear something that I say today that you've heard before, I want you to be very careful, because I want you to ask yourself, not have I heard that before, but how well do I do that? You see, the big gap between most of us is from what we know and what we actually do, and I want you to bridge that gap and take action on what it is that you know. The second thing that I want you to do is I want you to write down your own thoughts. I always share this. I want you to write down your own thoughts, because as I'm speaking, I'm only here as a trigger. I would love to be the person up here that's your guru and can tell you all, but I have nothing to give you today except for being a trigger for you. So today, I want to trigger some thoughts that will help you grow today. So if you have a thought or an idea of how you can use the Sherlock more, who you need to reach out to, or who you need to call, that person that's sitting on the top of your mind, write that person down, because that's who you need to reach out to. So I want to be a trigger for you today. And the third thing that I want you to do today is realize that you are not in this room by coincidence. You are not in this room by coincidence. I want you to think about this. Every single thing that's happened into your life has led you into this very room on this single day. Everything in my life that's happened up until this point, everything that I've done, every decision that I've made has led me to stand in front of you on this stage here today. And somehow, some way, all of our lives have connected in a single moment in time. There's no coincidence. So this is what I believe, and this is how I believe that any opportunity that I'm given to speak, I'm built for the moment. You see, I get into situations where I'm way in over my head speaking at events that I shouldn't be speaking at, but this is what I understand. I'm unqualified, I'm undeserving, but I'm fully confident I belong in front of the people that God has placed me in front of that day. I mean, you guys don't hear me. You see, I'm unqualified. I am not a bright person. You see, I got kicked out of school, college 6 times in a year and a half. Now, you guys are laughing. You say, well, how in the world did you get kicked out of school 6 times in a year and a half? You guys are asking the wrong question. How did I get back into school 6 times in a year and a half? This is what I know. It's no coincidence that you're here. You see, I'm unqualified to speak to you today. I'm undeserving to speak to you today, but I'm fully confident I have something for you today that can alter your life. You see, just 3 days ago, and I love this. There's nothing more I love doing on this planet than speaking to people. 3 days ago, I'm actually speaking to NASA. I'm inside of Denver, Colorado, working with NASA, the Florida Space Institute, and University of Boulder, Colorado. They give me the phone call to come work with this team because they're highly dysfunctional. And I have this one thing that I do well, which is communicate and bring people together. And so they call me for this project, and throughout this entire time, we go through hours upon hours upon hours of dysfunction. I'm certainly just closing my ears because I'm saying it doesn't matter what's happening there. And I'm asking myself, why am I walking the door? How am I walking into the doors of NASA? It was no coincidence. You see, because I was unqualified, I was undeserving, but fully confident I belonged there. And I walked in there and delivered and got done what they wanted to get done. But I was built for that moment. So the only words that I'm telling myself before I step on any stage is that I am built for this moment. And what I'm telling you is that you're here today because you are built for this moment. These trends that Michael's talking about, you're built for this moment. The question is are you going to step into this moment and take it and seize it as yours? So today I'm going to talk to you about trusting this process. So first of all, let's go ahead and give you guys, Michael and Chuck, let's give you guys a round of applause for 3 years of making it inside this business. 3 years. Now, congratulations, guys. You've come a long way. And so today I want to talk about trusting the process. Because this is the part where people, that you want the stuff. You want to be at the $1 trillion. You want to be at the $1 billion. You want to be at the $100,000 a year from doing this thing where you paid your $250 and now you're in. Now you say, well, I want my $1,000 a month. Okay, there's a process. There's somebody that you have to become in order to make that $1,000 a month. There's somebody that you have to become to make that $5,000 a month. There's somebody that you have to become to make that $10,000 a month. Whatever that is, whatever that number is for you, you have to become somebody different. So this is what we have to understand. And so I love this quote by Mandy Hale. She says, what we are waiting for is not as important. What we are waiting for is not as important to us as what happens to us while we're waiting. It's about what's happening to us while we're waiting to become that person. You see, it's the process that makes us. It's the process. You see, everything that we do, we have to understand that it's a cycle. There's a gestation period. It looks like this. It's seed, it's time, it's harvest. But oftentimes we want things just like that. We want it just like that. And there's a gestation period to everything. You know, because how silly would I look if I took some corn seed out of my hand right now, went and threw some in the grass right outside the door and came back tomorrow and said, guys, where's my corn? You guys will look at me and say, Chris, you don't get it. He's a little off. He said he was unqualified, but now we know. He's a little slow. But here's the thing. When you start into this process, there's a gestation period. You sign up, you get started, there's a learning curve. There's people that you have to reach out to. There's things that you have to do. There's a person that you have to become in order for you to reach what it is that you want to reach. You see, but what I know is that there's 3 types of people inside this room right now. There's 3 types of people. You got your people that come inside this organization and they get it. They see the vision, they see the trends, and they're off and running. And you wonder, how is it that they walk in here? They just started. I've been sitting around this Sherlock thing for 2 years. I've been around it for 3 years. I've been here the entire time, but somebody comes in from Kazakhstan and they put in all these people. What are they doing? I mean, come on. But here's the thing. Here's the difference maker. Okay, people that come in and get it, this is the difference maker. Number 1, they see the possibilities and not the reasons why it won't work. You see, when that person in Kazakhstan came in, all they saw was the possibility. They said, this is my way. This is the product. This is the vehicle. This is going to be the thing that alters my life. And guess what it did? It did. You see, and they weren't looking for why it wasn't going to work. They weren't saying, well, I clicked on the button and it didn't take me to the link that I didn't go to. No, that didn't matter. They weren't caught up in that. They weren't looking for the reasons why it didn't work. They were looking for the reasons why it did work. The second reason it worked for them is because they weren't moved by the outcome of going to the first person and them telling them no. You see, you have to detach yourself from the outcome, because when people say no to you, it's not personal. They're not saying no to you. They're saying no to themselves. They're saying that they're not open, they're not receptive. So you can't take it personal when people begin to say, well, no, I don't want anything to do with that. Oh, I don't want to download that app. And you get offended and you take it personal because you think that it had something to do with you because they didn't want to add the app to their phone. You see, that person in Kazakhstan, they weren't moved by the outcome, but this is what I know. You need to get a result to tweak a result. You have to get a result to tweak a result. So you have to do something. You have to do something. You can't just sit there and keep thinking, well, I'll get started on it someday. You see, and the third thing that successful people do, or that first person does, is that they do it until. What does that mean, Chris? Do it until. You see, they don't set an expiration date on when they're going to quit. You see, some of you have come into this program and said, well, if this doesn't work by summertime, then I'm going to quit. Well, if this doesn't work by fall or by Christmas time, I'm going to quit. You see, you might as well quit today, because it's not going to work by then, because that's the mindset that you have. I think about people that come up to me, they see me speak, and they say, Chris, I would love to speak. I said, great. Come on, I'll do anything I can to help you out. And then they'll come in and they'll begin to speak, or they want to do something. And then they ask me the question, they said, well, Chris, we speak on some of the same topics. Do you believe that we're competition? And I tell them, no, not at all. And then they tell me, well, Chris, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting started with this speaking thing and getting people to let me inside the door. If this doesn't work for me by this date, then I'm quitting. Do you think that we're competition? And I simply smile and say, no. You see, here's the difference. I have no expiration date. When I dedicated my life to impact people's lives, I decided that I was going to do it until. You see, there's no competition to me, because I knew that this was my mission, this was my plan, and I'm not quitting. I went from focused to fixated. You see, what I think about daily is speaking, coaching, training, impacting lives, and that's all that I do each and every single day. I'm fixated. You see, what takes the average to above average is because average people can focus for a period of time, but above average people become fixated on what it is that they want. Think about it. You see, Magic Johnson growing up, he never put the basketball down. Jimi Hendrix, he never laid the guitar down. Steve Jobs never let the sun go down without innovation on his mind. Are you focused or are you fixated? You see, because if you want something, you've got to become fixated. There can't be an expiration date. You've got to do it until. You see, this is what I know, is that you never set unrealistic goals. It's not unrealistic to be a $1 billion company. It's not unrealistic for you to be a $1 billion producer inside this organization. You see, we never set unrealistic goals. We only set unrealistic timelines. And we quit if we don't get there fast enough. You see, the other type of person that walks inside this organization is that they're skeptical and they don't know what to do. You see, they come in kind of lukewarm. They can either go to the left or they can go to the right, but they're just looking for that person to tip them one way or the other. The third person that comes into the organization is negative, and they go that way. They come in with an attitude. They come in looking for something, and they find exactly what it is that they're looking for, a reason why it does not work. You see, you're going to always move in the direction of your dominant thought, and you're going to always get what it is that you're looking for. So you want to be looking for the things that make it happen. And what I know about each and every single one of you, there's 3 questions that each and every single one of you are asking. There's only 3 questions. Now, none of you are going to walk up to anyone inside this room and ask these 3 questions, but all followers ask leaders 3 questions. If you can get a yes to these 3 questions, then you're going to have people follow you. The first question is, can I help you? The second question is, can I trust you? And the third question is, do you care for me? Can I trust you? Can you help me? And do you care for me? And what I can tell you about your leadership team is you can trust them. What I can tell you about your leadership team is that they can help you. And what I know about your leadership team is that they care about you. I mean, really. I meet with Chuck every other week. Every other week like clockwork, Chuck and I meet. We're having leadership discussions. We got a meeting rhythm. And what I know is every single week, his heart is beating to help people move forward. So I don't know you, but if you can't, and I don't know where your belief is in this leadership team, in this organization, but I want to ask you to borrow my belief, because what I know is that his heart and their hearts are right to help you. So here's what I want you to do is I want you to trust the process. But you say, Chris, how do I do that? How do I trust the process? I'm going to give you 5 ways to trust the process. Here we go. 5 ways to trust the process. Number 1, be curious. Be curious. Now, what do I mean by be curious? You see, what I mean by be curious is that you need to stay in an exploratory mindset and realize that you have to be a lifelong learner. You have to be a lifelong learner. So this is the difference maker. This is the spread. And this is the rub. Wealthy people learn and grow. Poor people think they know. We have to remain curious. We have to remain learners. We have to continuously seek out growth. And we have to stop ourselves from saying these 4 dangerous words of, I've heard that before. You see, when we go into that mindset, we begin to shut down and we have no ability to give that idea any life. You see, Chuck is doing weekly calls. He's doing weekly calls, and you're saying, well, I've been on that call before. Well, I've been on that call before. It's the same call. No, it's not the same call, because you shouldn't be the same person every time you come back to that call. You shouldn't be the same person every time you come back to this meeting. You see, every time that I see you at this meeting, you should be able to answer a real simple question, which is, what have you learned since we last met? You shouldn't be at the same number of Sherlock's out. You shouldn't be at the same number of people inside your organization. You shouldn't be at the same anything by the time we see each other again. This is just a marker, this event. You see, but what happens between now and the next event, that's the process. And during that time period, you have to remain curious. How do you trust the process? Number 2, you need to be flexible. You need to be flexible. Guys, we're in year number 3 of this company. What does that mean? It's still a baby. It's still a baby. You see, I don't expect my 2.5-year-old to do the things that the 6-year-olds are doing. I don't expect my 3-year-old to do the things that I'm doing. We have to be flexible in this time period. So guess what? There's a new rollout of a platform. I don't know who did the platform, who built it, but this is what I do know. Something's not going to work right. Something's going to go wrong. I don't know anything about it, but this is what I can tell you. Something's not going to be right. But you have to be flexible and know that, hey, this is new. This is part of the process. Not only are you going through the process, but we're going through a process, and we need you to be flexible. So instead of sitting there complaining about it, whining about it, what can you do to be a solution around it? You see, and this is what you have to understand. Now, you've all heard the phrase before, if you find a problem, bring the solution. Everybody's heard that before, but here's what you have to understand. Sometimes you have to bring the whole solution. Because what I know about you is you're paid upon the problems that you solve. So the bigger the problems that you solve, the bigger the pay that you make. The smaller the problems that you solve, the smaller your pay. Solve bigger problems. Be flexible. Be flexible. Number one, be curious. Number two, be flexible. The number three, understand that there's work ahead. Understand that there is work ahead. You see, we get excited when we see it's $1 trillion industry. We get excited when we see there's $1 billion industry. We get excited when we see all these numbers here, but guess what? There's work ahead. You can't just sign up and sit. You can't just sign up and sit. You know, that statistic is sickening that Michael talked about. 70% of people that join an organization do nothing, but they have an expectation of getting something. This boggles my mind. 70% of the people that get into this organization do nothing, but 100% of the people that join the organization have an expectation that they're going to get something. Nobody joined with zero expectations. Nobody said, hey, I just want to sign up and I don't expect anything from you guys. Just take my money, it's okay. Not one person. 100% of the people that come in have an expectation, but 70% do nothing. Don't be the 70%. There's work. There's work to be done. It's not easy. It's not fun and all lifestyle. There's some work to be done. I hate to be the bearer of the bad news, but this is what I know, is that if you lock arms, if you set your mind to it, if you get into this thing and do the work, that lifestyle does happen. It does happen, but it takes work. Now, this is different work. This isn't the typical work that you're used to where you clock in, you clock out, you get your check, you walk out the door. This is a little bit different. This is what we call the bipolar roller coaster of entrepreneurship. I mean, some days you're on top of the world. The next day you look in the mirror and say, what am I doing with my life? I know this firsthand. It's up and down, it's up and down, but you see, at the end of this ride, we own the ride. We don't just keep riding on somebody else's ride. This one's yours. Understand that there's work ahead. Number four, you want to trust this process. Connect and serve others. Connect and serve others. You see, right now, this vision or this goal, this dream that you have, you can protect it inside of a room like this. You see, when you walk outside this room and you're around people that aren't inside this organization or opposed to what it is that you do, your dream is at jeopardy of death. You see, and the best way for this to work for you is to stay plugged in and continue to stay connected and serve others. It doesn't matter if you've heard the same call 100 times, 200 times. You have to stay close to the fire. Otherwise, as you walk away from the fire, it's going to get cold. You have to stay close. You see, I've been certified with John Maxwell team for 4 years now. I host some of the certification calls now. I actually lead groups for John Maxwell team. But you know what? On Tuesday night, I still dial into that call for brand new people. You know, on Saturday mornings, I still dial into that call. And it may just be playing in the background or whatever the case may be, but I know that I need to stay close to the fire because I need to hear those thoughts, because my own thinking alone in my basement sometimes just doesn't move me in the right direction. You have to stay close to the fire. So you want to stay connected. You know, as the pastor came up and he talked about, you know, what happened when things got bad and when things got tough, it was because of the 5 people around him. It was because he tapped into a phone call and heard something. What happened? He came close to the fire and he got lit again. And today he was staying up on this stage because he came back by the fire. Stay by the fire. And the 5th thing that you could do, and I'll close with this, is that you have to hold your image. You have to hold your image. What do I mean by that? Is that you have to continuously stay crystal clear on why it was that you came inside this organization. You see, because when you're crystal clear on what it is that you want, you get it every single time. When there's clarity in what it is that you want. You have to hold that image because that has to be your guiding light. That has to be the reason that pulls you. 100% of you had expectation when you came into this program. 100% of you said, I'm enjoying this for this reason. What is that reason? And you have to hold that image because when we do that, we're gravitated and we're pulled towards it. You see, I think about, just a couple days ago, I was in Walmart, and I have to share with you guys one of my vices. One of my vices is chocolate chip cookies. I love chocolate chip cookies. In Walmart's bakery, they make this little bag of cookies. It's a little brown bag, sits about yay tall. It's got a little transparent window on the front side, and you can see the 3 little chocolate chip cookies sitting in there. These chocolate chip cookies are 98 cents, $1.03 after tax. Now, I walked out my house, and I was just going to go to Walmart and get me a bag of cookies. Now, I grabbed $1.03, and I went off there, and now, I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter if I'm going to Walmart only for a bag of cookies, but no matter what I go to Walmart for, I'm going to take a full lap around that store, right? So here's what I do is I park on the market side. I go inside the market side. I take a beeline left. I'm going left, and now I'm getting past the cash registers, and I go ahead and decide to pull out my change out of my pocket because I know I'm going to be looping around to get my cookies back on the market side. Well, I reach in my pockets, I pull out a little cash, and I grab the pennies out of my pocket, but I'm about a penny short. And I go, oh, no, I knew I grabbed $1.03. I do this all the time. It's $1.03, and I only got $1.02. Now, I've got my debit card, but I'm not going to use my debit card at this, and I don't want to walk back out to the car. This is going to break my rhythm. I know I got a dime in here, right? So I continue my pace, but now I've got a need. I need a penny. Now, I've got these 2 other options, but I don't like those options, so what I decided to do is I said, I'm going to find a penny in Walmart. So now here I am. I am on a mission. My entire mission inside of Walmart is this. I'm going to find a penny so that I can have $1.03 to get my chocolate chip cookies. Now, I'm about halfway through the paint section here, and so now I'm looking at the bottom of the shelves. I'm looking for things around. I'm going up and down aisles. I never go up because I am looking for a penny. Now I make my way back through the toy section. Now there's no pennies back here, and I'm thinking there might be some kids back there that might have dropped a penny. I might be in the right place, but to no avail, I did not find a penny. Now I continue on through the store. I'm going through the food section now. I'm back in the market, and I still cannot find a penny, but my hopes aren't out. Because I go, you know what, now I'm starting to think, well, nobody would have their wallet out here. This doesn't make any sense, so the likelihood of change being dropped here doesn't make right. I said, I need to get by the cash register. So I go and grab the bag of cookies. I've got $1.02. I don't have enough money to pay for what I need, but I have enough belief that that penny is going to be here at the counter. Now, this is the most highly likely place that this could happen. I walk up to the self-check. I walk up to number 1. There's no penny there. I walk across to number 2. There's no penny there. I walk to number 3, and right underneath the ledge, there was a penny. Now you say, Chris, it was just a penny. No. You don't understand. It's not just a penny, because what I did with the penny can be done with 1,000, can be done with 10,000, can be done with 1,000,000. I held my image. I continued pursuit despite the obstacles, despite what it looked like. I held the course. I want to encourage you to do the same. It's been an honor and a privilege to be with you guys today. Thank you so much for your time.